Tell me, what do you see, Arjuna?
I see nothing but the eye of the bird.
My children, share it equally. Oh, Krishna, protect me in this. Oh, Krishna, protect me in this dark hour. Protect me in this dark hour.
How can I fight my own kin and teachers in this battle?
I am time, the ultimate destroyer of worlds. Behold my hundreds and thousands of divine forms.
The truly wise mourn neither for the living nor the dead, for the soul can never be slain.
The Mahabharata places his birth deep within the remote Shatashringa forest. Because her husband, King Pandu, was under a curse preventing him from fathering children, Queen Kunti utilized a sacred mantra. She invoked Indra, the powerful king of the gods and lord of storms, to father her third son. Growing up in the wilderness, he was raised by resident sages. This early environment grounded his divine bloodline in strict ascetic discipline, teaching him early on how to control his own mind. Following his father's death, the family returned to the Kuru kingdom's capital in Hastinapura. Here, the royal court appointed the Brahmin warrior Drona to instruct the young princes in the martial arts. The storm god's son quickly emerged as Drona's most devoted pupil. This animation illustrates the specific trait that separated him from his peers. During an archery trial, Drona asked his students what they saw while aiming at a wooden bird. While others described the branches and the sky, this prince replied that he saw only the bird's head. When he aims, everything else drops away. To win the hand of Princess Draupadi in marriage, he entered a royal competition. While disguised as a humble Brahmin, he shot 5 arrows into a rotating target by looking only at its reflection in a pool of water, a feat every other prince had failed to achieve. This public victory established his capability as a warrior. It elevated his status across the region, while simultaneously creating a lethal rivalry with his cousins, the Kauravas. The Kauravas leveraged that rivalry into political action. Through a rigged game of dice, they stripped the prince and his brothers of their royal titles and forced the family into a mandatory 12-year exile. Prior to the exile, he had proven his capacity for execution. Tasked by the fire god Agni to burn down the Pandava forest, he and his cousin, Lord Krishna, stood guard, consuming everything in their path to prevent any creature from escaping the blaze. This shared act of violence forged a lifelong bond between the two. For enabling the destruction of the forest, Agni rewarded him with the Gandiva, an indestructible celestial bow, along with 2 quivers of inexhaustible arrows. These would become his signature weapons. He spent his years away from the court moving constantly. Beginning at the banks of the Ganges, he navigated through various kingdoms, securing political marriages with powerful regional princesses like Ulupi, Chitrangada, and Krishna's own sister, Subhadra. He did not spend his banishment in defeat. By mapping the continent and weaving his bloodline into the families of distant territories, he transformed a period of punishment into an era of resource gathering for an inevitable total war. Realizing the upcoming conflict would require more than earthly politics, he traveled alone into the freezing altitudes of the Himalayas to perform penance and seek weapons from the gods. Deep in meditation, he is challenged by a mountain hunter. They engage in a hand-to-hand fight. When the hunter matches him blow for blow and ultimately overpowers him, The warrior realizes he is fighting Lord Shiva. Impressed by his resilience, Shiva grants him the devastating Pashuvatastra missile. The terms of the dice game required the brothers to spend their 13th year of exile completely incognito. If discovered, they would face another 12 years in the wilderness. The world's deadliest archer had to disappear. He found refuge in the royal court of the Matsya kingdom. Utilizing skills he had acquired in the heavens, he lived as a eunuch named Brianala, spending his days teaching music and dance to the king's daughter. Voluntarily trading Bragandiza bow for musical instruments required a level of discipline that surpassed his physical training. To survive the year, the world's deadliest warrior suppressed his warrior identity entirely, subordinating his pride to the necessity of the mission. The exile expires, diplomacy fails, and the family fractures permanently. Millions of soldiers gather on the plains of Kurukshetra, dividing the continent into two massive opposing armies. But as his chariot rolls into the space between the lines, the great archer drops his bow. Looking across the battlefield, he recognizes his own grandfathers and teachers in the enemy ranks. Faced with the reality of killing his own blood, he suffers a moral collapse and refuses to fight. This diagram visualizes the problem Krishna addresses. Acting as his charioteer, Krishna pauses time to deliver the philosophical discourse known as the Bhagavad Gita. He explains the mechanics of karma, how every human action generates an endless loop of consequence and spiritual bondage. Krishna provides the solution. He explains that liberation is found by performing one's specific cosmic duty without any attachment to the personal results. For a warrior on a battlefield, that duty, that Dharma, cuts straight through the karmic cycle. To prove his authority, Krishna grants his friend a temporary state of divine vision, revealing the Vishwarupa. It is an overwhelming display of infinite reality, a blinding light showing all creation and destruction happening simultaneously within Krishna's cosmic body. Picking up his weapons, his doubts are resolved. His strength is not his physical capacity to kill, but his intellectual willingness to submit his own desires to a higher universal truth. Reinvigorated, he dominates the 18-day Kurukshetra war. Wielding his divine arsenal, he eliminates the Kaurava's formidable commanders, including his grandfather Bhishma and his rival Karna, securing the throne for his eldest brother. The victory is somber, as the war wipes out nearly his entire family. Decades later, with their dynasty left to their grandson, the aging brothers leave their kingdom behind, making a final pilgrimage back into the high Himalayas. His name remains the benchmark for national athletic honors. The Arjuna Award is presented annually to competitors who exhibit years of consistent performance and the mental discipline to maintain their skills at a high level. Arjuna stands as the eternal symbol of a human soul struggling, learning, and finally aligning itself with the universe. We name 60-ton third-generation main battle tanks after him for a reason. The Indian Army's Arjun tank carries the namesake of an ancient warrior whose legacy has survived intact for thousands of years. His reach extends far beyond the Indian subcontinent. Across the ocean in Indonesia, Javanese storytellers have spent centuries crafting his likeness into these intricate leather shadow puppets, placing him at the center of their theatrical traditions. In the heart of modern Jakarta, his presence commands a bustling traffic circle. A massive bronze monument depicts him riding a chariot against a backdrop of glass skyscrapers. His story explores a difficult tension, the conflict between a capacity for total destruction and the wisdom of deliberate restraint. Arjuna is the primary historical case study for Dharma, the duty to maintain cosmic order. His enduring presence suggests that his ancient struggle to balance power with duty still offers a necessary template for the modern world.